Alright, all set. And 3, 2, 1, action! This is Cinematic Motif. Hello, welcome back to Cinematic Motif. I'm Wanson. This is a show where I introduce you films in Taiwan and around the world. I'm still recovering from my cold, so I'm sorry if you hear my voice is a bit different this week. So today, actually, we're going to talk about a film that premiered in the UK recently. So at the Sundance Film Festival in London, there is a film that premiered, a short film actually, and it is related to Taiwan, actually directed by a Taiwanese director. Let's welcome the director of the short film MAMU, Aephie Chen, to the show. Aephie, could you please say hi to our listeners?
Hi everyone, I'm Aephie. I'm based in London in the past 18 years. I'm originally from Taiwan, and I recently did my first short film, MAMU, which is related to Amis in Taiwan and London stories. So I'm really glad I can be here with you.
Yeah, so let me catch up with everyone about the story of MAMU. So this is a story about a Taiwanese indigenous called Mayao, and he's living in London with his daughter, and they're all biracial. No, the daughter is biracial. But gradually, as Mayao gets old, he's losing his memory, but he starts to, catch these imagination and connection, and also hearing these lullabies of his tribes in Taiwan. So it's kind of like reconnecting back to his root, right?
It's a nostalgia.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with some very, very straightforward questions that I think a lot of listeners would be interested to know about the film. That is that on the poster of the film, we can see that there is a clay puppet. And there are actually a lot of clay puppets in the film. It seems to be a very important symbolism. So what are these puppets?
So maybe I start with explaining what is MAMU.
I think
maybe that.
That is also an important question because the title of the film is MAMU, right?
Yeah, so MAMU in Amis means grandma, or it can be grandma from your dad or from your mom. I was born in a countryside of Tainan, where I actually, when I'm outside, I call my grandma Ama, but when I'm at home, I call my grandma Mamu. And I didn't know about my indigenous roots until much later on, because I'm also very mixed in our Taiwanese culture. We are all hyper mixed. So when I wanted to make the film, it's really personal because in Amis culture, they don't make the clay figurine. But my mamu did. So when I was kids, we play with the clay. This is a memory for me entering my childhood, which is connected to my memory of Taiwan because I've been living abroad since I was 4. So yeah, that's related. So for me, creating the clay figurines is to honor my memory of my grandma Mamu used to play with me when I was a little girl. But also later on, I discovered in the East Coast Taiwanese indigenous culture, also in Dao, they make the little figurines. So there's something to do with the earth, and to make something out of the earth are soothing, and that is the key to the magical world in this film.
Mm-hmm. And I think, as you said, this is a very personal film for you. You are also an immigrant now living in Europe. So could you please tell us a little bit about your story of becoming an immigrant, and how has that experience contributed to the script or the idea of the script?
When I want to write a story, Amis is the biggest indigenous tribe in Taiwan. Also, they preserve their language really well in the elderly generation. So I was able to find the actor who can actually speak Amis, who is actually Suming's father, Akiru P. So I kind of been adapted to Amis because they're so much sharing about their culture. They share about the song with me, and how they still have this beautiful respect towards their elderlies and then their culture and then their language. They're trying to learn it all back. So I was really, I was just, how do I say, I become a fan of how they treat their elderlies in their tribes. And so that was one of that. As an immigrant, it's already quite a challenge to be an immigrant in the world, no matter where you are. To be a Taiwanese immigrant in Europe in the early time, we were also facing about the idea of where we're from, like who is Taiwanese, who are Taiwanese, and then we ourselves also needed to decolonize the idea of how to be a Taiwanese, contemporary Taiwanese now, like because our generations like represent, like my MAMU, my grandma's time, they will present one generation of what is Taiwanese, and then my parents will be presenting another generation, and I think the people who born after the end of martial law, they present another one. So we were the first generation were able to kind of have freedom of speech, but it's the lifting of that. So there's a lot of things when I traveling around the world, especially settling down in UK. It's a constant challenge to really spend time to know where I am actually from, because that's everybody's questions to you. Like to me, it's almost like you needed to understand where you're actually from to be able to be an immigrant in a foreign country. And so that was kind of my journey in the past 18 years. And I really wanted to honor all the brave immigrants who decided to settle down in another country and make another country home.
Yeah, I think it's really an important story to display how brave these immigrants are, as this father in the short movie who actually brought up the daughter by himself, right, in the movie. So yeah, I think it seems to me that he's a very strong, and he's trying to be brave in his life as an immigrant in the UK. So I also want to bring to this topic a little bit. As you said, you find Su Ming, who can actually speak Amis because he's an Amis singer, very well-known Amis singer in Taiwan. And you also invite his father to play the role of the father in the film. So I wonder, how did you make it happen? How did you get Amis to travel all this way, so far away to London to be in your film?
Wow, that is magical. So I met Ado Kaliting Bajla, like Ado, who is also Amis Banza, because she's from the Hualien tribes. So she kind of represents Zheng Youjie's film in London. So I was also running a radio show in London, and Ado was actually my guest, just like now. And so she said to me, like, Aephie, I cannot speak in English, but this is a radio show. So I said, can you sing? Then we just sing. Like, so I brought her a guitar and she just sang. And that show went really well. Nobody cared about if we're talking in English or not. We would just kind of have fun. You will have. That's sort of a DNA of Taiwanese. It's like friendly and fun. So what happened was, then I knew Ado from the premiere of 太阳的孩子, no, I forgot the English title. But I know I have met Ado, and she's a writer, songwriter, singer, TV presenter, and all of it. She is everything. Then she introduced me to Su Ming, because I was running the Taiwan Film Festival back in UK back in 2018, 19, and 2020, just before pandemics. And then they came to perform, and I learned about this crazy, passionate person called Su Ming Rupi, who kind of set up Amis Film Festival with all the effort he can pull, and trying to champion this idea of indigenous identity, not just among Taiwan, but also among the Pacific Islanders, and then he invite people to perform. So that's where I met Suming. And of course, their generation, both Ado and Suming, have made music albums with their indigenous language. Like they were singing Banza and Amis, but they are the generation relearned back their language. They didn't have that luxury to speak Amis and Banza at schools in their time. Their language was banned in their upbringing. However, Aki Baba, Suming's dad, was a sailor. So he in his Yuan Yang. So he's sailing around Pacific time. It was one of the job you could do as an East Coast indigenous people if you are not an athlete in Olympics or you know. But however, because he didn't needed to go to the higher education, so he preserved his language. He was still able to communicate in Amis with his parents, which is Suming's grandparents. And then he was a sailor, so he sailed around the world. He was kind of disconnected to this idea where in Taiwan everybody speak Mandarin in their time. It was a sad story, but it was history. It was historical time,
and it was beautiful.
So and then he is so shy. Like he's like an introvert type of person. So I could not talk to Aki Baba and then convince him directly, Suming need to help me. So I needed to pitch to Suming, and then Suming said, give me 1 week. I needed to go back to Taidong, convince my dad. And then my dad don't know you, so I need some time. And then so he helped me to convince his dad. And then also it's because the story based on the true story between me and my father. So he also has daughter, so that's why he sort of wanted to join. But
after you explaining the story of how Suming's father, he was a sailor, right? When I was watching the movie, I saw that there are a lot of scenes with water, like the river, and even the Mayao, or Suming's father, as in the movie, he's like looking at the water and then thinking about something. And I didn't know about the story of him being a sailor, but now I think it's not just about how water can connect the UK and Taiwan, because apparently you need to go across the ocean to get back to your home country, but also he was a sailor. And I'm not sure if, your symbolism of water is related to his background story as a sailor before.
Yeah, definitely. Then I have to tell you the story. So when I cast him, he said like, no, I don't know how to act. Like I never act. So he doesn't sing either. Like he's shy. And I heard about the story from Ado and Suming. When Suming was first time getting the award from Golden Horse as a newcomer back in 2007 or 8. That night in the Golden Horse Film Festival Award, when Suming got the Golden Horse award, that night his dad was returning back from the Pacific Ocean to Keelung Harbor, and then the fishing ships sank. So he had to make a phone call to his kids. Like he has 2 daughters and 1 son. One of them is Suming, to tell them maybe he will be rescued or not, don't know. But everybody is using the satellite mobile to call their family, say goodbye. And then this short film is about that. It's about a father wanted to say goodbye to his daughter because he was diagnosed with Alzheimer. He knew he's gonna forget everything from. So it's the same thing, and I just like, what? Your dad had made that kind of phone call, and then he was rescued, luckily. That's where you have him now. But however, I was like, he will know the feeling how to say goodbye to the kids. And then to talk about the water, Dulan is next to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, in Taidong, right? In Taidong, in Taiwan.
I mean, Taiwan is an island, so unless you are living in the mountains, you have the memory of either river or the ocean. It's part of our soundscapes in our memory. When my dad was in the later time, when he had Alzheimer, he constantly ran away. I can always find him next to something with the water sound. So it's the river or someone's washing sink, like outside of a restaurant, you have this sink. And then so it's just like, it's these things, like it's the idea of home. And I remember my MAMU was telling me, because we live next to the stream of river, she said like, you will never get lost if you are just tracing the river. You will know to either trace up the river or trace down the river. There's only two ways. You will never get lost.
Yeah, so basically, water and river, it really means your connection with home. However you want to explain it, but anyway, it can really connect you back to your homeland. And now I want to move on to another thing that is also, I think, if people will get the chance to watch the movie, which I think they will, in this movie, there is a really beautiful thing that I think that is really touching. That is the music, because we can hear, I think, I'm not sure what kind of music it is. Maybe it's a lullaby, or maybe if you can tell us later on. The music is fabulous, and it's totally indigenous, very like local music. So can you please tell us a little bit about how do you create this motif of the movie, the music motif of the movie that we can hear all along the film?
When I invited Ado to work with me and compose the song, I was telling her the lullaby I remembered from my childhood from my MAMU. And then I just couldn't sing because I was a baby. You just have the memory of the... And then Ado was saying like, if you cannot sing, I cannot write. So how about I write about my memory of my lullaby? So she wrote a Miss Banza lullaby based on her grandma, but she made it contemporary. In Amis culture, I mean, at least in Ado's childhood, because right now all the culture are very mixed match, but in Ado's childhood back in time, her mom will sing the song to the babies and the child to hush them to sleep, but then they would talk to the child too. So they sing a bit, and then they talk a bit, and then they sing a bit. So it is a lullaby. It's also a form of blessing. So when I was inviting Suming and Aki Baba to sing, I was telling Aki Baba like, maybe you could also just, when you are in between singing, just trying to say something about the feeling of being a father.
Yeah, and as you said, they sing and then they say some words and then they sing again, right? And that's exactly what people can hear in the short film. And I think people would definitely love to hear the song. So I think it's really exceptional that we see a director who is based in UK and London. You're a Taiwanese and you're, telling this story about a Taiwanese immigrant in London. There's this sort of, I mean, definitely you can see yourself in the movie. So I think it's exceptionally meaningful. Yeah. Okay, so I also want to ask you a little bit about the reception at the Sundance Film Festival London. A lot of people from let's say the UK or other parts of the world have watched the movie. And did you receive any feedback that makes you remember a lot, or feedbacks that are heartwarming?
Like the most, I have to say the most heartwarming feedback I got many. I collected. We collected on our social media campaign. We have more than 20 audience reviews submitting to us. So because we are the only short film has not received public funding, so we didn't have the publicity. So thank you for inviting me to your show. So one of the audience, he is the second generation or even third generation of Burmese immigrants in London. He himself, he's only in his 20s, he cannot speak Burmese. But however, when his family gathering together and when his uncles all speaks to Burmese to each other, he just feel like, wow, they have a new personality, and then this film makes him wanted to learn Burmese. So this is why one of the things I felt my film touched the audience just beyond the Taiwanese immigrants or any type of immigrants as a first generation. And also the people were able to catch this symbolism of the water just as you did. These tides of Thames River where has thousands of people come and go. Like London is a city of immigrants as well. River is always there, city is always there, and we are just passing by.
Yeah, and even in London you have Thames River, right? So yeah, the river is always there, and yeah, it's definitely, the similar situation happened even in the UK. So I also want to ask you, you have this short movie, and this is actually your first short film, right? So what do you hope to make an impact to the public with this very groundbreaking first short film?
I think the world is really unfair. It is very challenging to come from no background and wanted to be a film director. And especially UK has a history of this film industry, which is super difficult to break in. And I think for me, as a Taiwanese immigrant in the UK, making this film is to encourage other people that you don't need it to come from a rich family to make films. It's possible to grow your own tribe or your own community to make films. It is really difficult, tough. There's no money involved. But it is very difficult for people to just kind of support you because we are just not from here. We are outsiders, actually. That doesn't mean to give up. Like, if you have a story to share, I just wanted to see more of these kind of stories, because after living in London for 18 years, I just realized people are really drawn to this metropolitan city. They're trying to find a dream come true scenario, but many people failed. And then it's just the idea of, wow, it is possible, but however, go through some difficulties, and it is possible. Like on a positive note, I want to continue making this film. And then, of course, a short film is just to prove I can direct, because it's so hard in the British film industry to have a Taiwanese director come from nowhere. But now I'm just moving on to the next step. We're developing a much longer film to tell the daughter story, like how come a Taiwanese indigenous sailor immigrant arrived in London in 1980s, and how did he leave? Like how did he find life in London? So it's gonna be quite exciting.
Yeah, hopefully we can get to see the short film in Taiwan, or the longer one in somewhere else very soon. So if we want to keep on following the journey of MAMU, where can we find you on the internet?
So we set up a public Instagram account finally. It's called Boating Island. So if you find us on Boating Island, which is BOATING Island, ISALAND, then you will be able to see everything around the story and then the journey. Support us. Thank you.
Right. So Aephie, thank you so much for joining us today on Cinematic Motif.
Thank you. This is really cool.
Yeah, okay. So as always, if you've got anything that you want to share with me, or if you've got any questions, please send your email to me at wanson@rti.org.tw. You can also follow me on my Instagram and YouTube. My handle is at wansonscfe. This has been Cinematic Motif, and I'm gonna be back next week. Bye bye.
Aninit tangirang isui upanza angha.
The sound of the Amis tribe on Radio Taiwan International.